All right, guys, welcome back to the channel where I sit with you every single week and we stack Bitcoin together. Guys, again, this is going to be my weekly news update on the biggest articles, the biggest news stories about Bitcoin for the week. And let's get right into it. All right, so first big news story, we've got the Iran ceasefire, which has boosted some confidence in the investors for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone up to close to 80,000. It's got right around 78,000, 78,500, bouncing around there, which is exciting. We're getting some more bullish sentiment, right, for Bitcoin. People are across YouTube, across X, we're seeing more and more confidence, excitement around Bitcoin, which is always good. But this freaking Iran situation is honestly like 1 week, or actually not even 1 week. One day we hear one thing, the next day we hear another. And really, I'm not sure how correlated Bitcoin is with this anymore. We had the ceasefire. I felt like there was a push up on the price, but I think just this morning there was an attack on some boats, and Trump came out and said that Iran breached the agreement and the ceasefire, and really Bitcoin didn't react. Neither did the markets. Everything kept going up. So I don't think anybody can honestly say they know what's going on and honestly say where this is headed next. Bitcoin could go down significantly within the next week, couple weeks, month. It could shoot up significantly. I don't know. Nobody really knows, but there definitely is some more positive sentiment with Bitcoin. I'm feeling some of the excitement, and I think also it has a lot to do with buying pressure, guys. There's a limited supply, and then you've got all this buying pressure happening from some of the large asset fund managers, new big players getting into the space, and then of course you have MicroStrategy that just does not stop freaking buying Bitcoin. They are on a fucking tear. All right, so they have continued to buy, and this is the second big story I have for this week. Is Strategy has just bought another 34,164 Bitcoins, guys. That is unbelievable, right? They are just going all in on Bitcoin. And for context, I did a video last week. I recommend checking it out. It's about the difficulty adjustment ratio, the difficult adjustment in Bitcoin. And basically, there's only new supply of Bitcoin put into the market every 10 minutes on average. Therefore, there's only about 450 new Bitcoin that can be put into circulation daily, right? Strategy bought 34,164 Bitcoin. They bought like 75 days worth of Bitcoin that's been newly mined and put into circulation. So they're just gobbling up all the new Bitcoin. 75 days worth of Bitcoin bought in one buy by one company is putting a ton of pressure on the supply of Bitcoin. And I feel like MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor is basically creating his own supply shock in the market. And he is really starting to push hard to accumulate as much Bitcoin as he possibly can. And this is putting pressure on other asset fund managers, on other companies to buy Bitcoin as well. They're looking at what Michael Saylor is doing and MicroStrategy, and they're saying we either join the party and we stay in this race, or we fall behind significantly to MicroStrategy and their plan, right? And so I think with this latest buy, Strategy has surpassed BlackRock on the amount of Bitcoins in their holdings, right? So BlackRock, you better believe, is looking at MicroStrategy and saying, well, what are we going to do here? Are we going to sit back and just let them keep running, or are we going to step into this a little bit more aggressively? So we're starting to see that conversation happen more and more. Michael Saylor and Strategy are not going to stop buying Bitcoin, and again, that's going to continue to put pressure on the price of Bitcoin. I'd be surprised if we saw another 30 to 40% drop unless there's some kind of black swan event and the stock market crashes and everything comes crumbling down. I don't expect Bitcoin to drop off another 40 to 50%. Could we see a price swing down 20, 15, 20%? Yeah, absolutely. But with this amount of buying pressure happening, I find that shocking. And keep in mind, every time strategy buys, those Bitcoin are never going back into the market. He is saying it. He's letting you guys know his business model is I'm going to buy the Bitcoin and I'm going to weather the volatility. I don't care. I'll hold it for you. You buy my products, my MSTR, my STRC. You enjoy these products and I'll just hold the Bitcoin. And I'm not going to sell you my Bitcoin. What I'll sell you are my products that are based on Bitcoin, right? So when you see a buy of 34,164 Bitcoin, that's 34,164 people that will never be able to buy or get to one Bitcoin. Those Bitcoin are gone, right? They're not coming back into the market. So keep that in mind, guys. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, 1 million sitting in Satoshi's wallet, another I don't know how many that are lost, that have been lost over the early years. And now you've got these guys coming in and just gobbling up 70 days, 75 days worth of newly minted Bitcoin, right? And they're doing this all the time. We're seeing MicroStrategy buys definitely once a week now. He's just picking it up and getting more aggressive. So institutional buying is not only here, guys. It's been here already for a little bit. Now it's a race. It's a gold rush moment. They are racing to the top. It's no longer should we get in, should we get out, are institutions in, are institutions questioning it. No, institutions are not only here, they're racing to the Bitcoin. And MicroStrategy is now leading that race. BlackRock has just fell behind with this latest buy. So we'll see how BlackRock behaves in the next few weeks, and with the new ETF inflows that they're getting that are going higher and higher, we'll see what ends up happening there. But I do expect these institutions to keep getting more and more aggressive, guys. And that's only going to put more pressure on the price of Bitcoin. All right. Next story, we've got Goldman Sachs files for Bitcoin income ETF in crypto push. Again, this is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. More and more asset fund managers, institutions are getting into the Bitcoin race. They're watching strategy and they're saying, oof, if we don't get in here, we're going to miss the boat. And so there's a saying, and follow the smart money. This is the smart money. This is what the smart money is doing, and they're doing it now, and they're doing it early. Bitcoin is under $100,000, guys. Bitcoin's been bouncing around the $75,000 range. You know that it can go up as high as $125,000 because we've already seen it, right? We've already seen it do that, and that was before all of this further push that we're getting from all of these institutions. So again, all these guys want in. They want to offer Bitcoin products. They want to custody the Bitcoin, hold on to the asset, and then sell you products based on that asset. All right, we've seen this in every single asset that's ever existed. You see it in the housing market with REITs. You see it, in gold with gold ETFs. Now you're seeing it here with Bitcoin, right? So this is something that the smart money is getting aggressively involved with, and we're going to see more and more of this, guys. And again, this is the only time there's ever been an asset with a capped supply. That will not change. We've never seen an asset like this, right? We've never seen this before. So Bitcoin's upside, we don't know what it is. We don't know how high it could possibly go. But all we know is basic Econ 101, limited supply or cap supply, and unquenched demand or infinite demand. What that could look like, exponentially higher than what it is today. That's what I'll tell you. That's my opinion on it. So again, guys, more and more news stories coming out of ETFs, institutions getting in, and now Goldman Sachs has filed to launch a Bitcoin premium income ETF product. So very cool, continuing to happen. All right, in other news, we've got here, this story was interesting to me, and I thought I should bring it to the table because it's not that exciting great news that we typically see. Man, I hate these freaking websites that they've got all this shit going on. Look at this, Forbes, by the way. Just so you can see, you can connect a wallet here on Forbes. I've never seen that before. Basically, this article is saying that there's a lot of concentration of Bitcoin holdings with Coinbase. I think BlackRock has their holdings with Coinbase, Fidelity as well. There's a lot of large institutions that are doing their holdings through Coinbase. I'm not sure, but maybe even the U.S. government. I'm not 100% sure, guys, but I do know that there is a large concentration of holdings with Coinbase that, could be, and people are saying that could centralize Bitcoin. Not necessarily, right? Of course, this is the importance of the importance of holding or custodying your own Bitcoin, right? When you custody your own Bitcoin, nobody can tell you what to do with your Bitcoin, right? Even if there is a centralized or a centralization of holdings of Bitcoin in with one company or one wallet, that doesn't make Bitcoin decentralized, right? This isn't a proof of stake network. It's a proof of work network. Proof of stake, the amount of stake that they have in that network, lets them decide the future of that network, right? They can decide the consensus protocol. Here with Bitcoin, it's proof of work. And so just because Coinbase sits on a ton of Bitcoin because they're custodying it for their customers, whether that's BlackRock, Fidelity, whoever, that doesn't mean that they have any more controlled power over the network than you or I that run a node and run a mining facility or run mines or mining facilities or whatever. So I want to make that clear. I don't run a mining facility, by the way. I don't know why that came out. What I meant was mine or mining facilities in general. There is no centralized power in that way because of this. So I'm a little bit confused by this. I guess what it could be referring to is maybe the centralization of maybe the price swings of Bitcoin. That is absolutely true, right? You've got a centralized amount of Bitcoin sitting in one wallet or with one company, but I don't think that they hold they have the custody of those Bitcoins, but I don't think they have the control over those Bitcoins in the sense of they can just do what they want with those Bitcoins, especially if I'm an institution like BlackRock and I tell Coinbase to hold my Bitcoin, I better, have some clarity as to how they're treating my Bitcoin. Are they selling it? Are they holding it? Are they, whatever it is that they might be doing. I'm pretty sure that Coinbase doesn't have, unilateral control over that Bitcoin for their for institutions. So I didn't really understand this article, but there is always a risk, right? When you have that much amount of Bitcoin sitting with one company and holding it, a lot of these, it's very simple to get around this. Custody your own Bitcoin. Hold your own Bitcoin. Don't let institutions hold your Bitcoin for you. Because at any point, if you don't own your private keys, you don't own your Bitcoin. And sure, if Coinbase wanted to go rogue, they could absolutely say, you know what, we're freezing everybody's accounts and we're holding the Bitcoin because whatever reason. That could absolutely happen, and that's why you don't leave your Bitcoin in exchanges. You take it out, you put it in your own private wallet, and that's the whole concept. That's the whole idea of Bitcoin. It's self-sovereignty. It's having control over your own money, not sitting your money in a bank account and letting somebody else control it, let somebody else lend it out and make interest on it. No, you can be your own bank. You hold your own Bitcoin, and eventually, maybe one day you'll be able to be your own bank and actually lend out your Bitcoin at a high interest rate, right? The same way that banks do that with your money and your cash that sits in their deposits, right? So simple solution to this quote unquote problem: custody your own Bitcoin, guys. And I know that with these products, these ETF products, it's easy. I met with somebody that was older. I want to say in their mid 60s, and I was talking to them about Bitcoin, and they liked it. They wanted to get involved. When I showed them how to buy a Bitcoin, and move their Bitcoin to a private wallet and the whole thing, 10 minutes into the conversation, they were lost. They were done. They were like, "Can I just buy this through like Fidelity?" And it's like, yeah, you can get exposure through Fidelity. And that makes them more comfortable, right? That makes the older generation more open to Bitcoin and being exposed to Bitcoin. But that generation is not going to self-custody their Bitcoin, and that's who these people are speaking to. And so if you're in the older generation and this is what makes you feel comfortable, that's fine. But guys, if you're in the younger generation, custody your own Bitcoin. There's no reason for you to be custodying Bitcoin through one of these large exchanges. Learn. Send me a comment, whatever. I'll meet with you. I don't care. Make sure that you custody your own Bitcoin, guys, because that's the whole idea behind Bitcoin is we can all be our own banks and no one will control the money that we run, right? So I thought this was an interesting article. And then lastly, my favorite article this week, I don't know if you've seen this video that went viral with this military general, but basically he went on to say that Bitcoin is important for national security. It's from a computer science standpoint, it is a modern day breakthrough, and they are studying Bitcoin deeply to leverage it as a computer science tool. So it's a really cool, amazing video to see. This is a 4-star admiral general in the U.S. military that goes on to say that Bitcoin shows incredible potential and that we basically need to lead the way with Bitcoin because China is also leading the way. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and play this for you guys. I hope you guys can hear it. I've never done this on these videos, but I hope you guys can hear this. If you cannot, I recommend looking for this video online. It's unbelievable. Actually, I'll probably put a link to it below. But let me put the volume up here, make sure you guys can hear this. Let's run this back.
To another subject, our competition with China isn't just about military strength. It also includes monetary strength as well. Last year, the Chinese Communist Party's main monetary think tank published research on Bitcoin as a strategic asset. This came after President Trump moved to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Admiral, how does leadership in Bitcoin impact leverage?
Let's run this back because I think we missed something important here.
To another subject, our competition with China isn't just about military strength. It also includes monetary strength as well. Last year, the Chinese Communist Party's main monetary think tank published research on Bitcoin as a strategic asset. This came after President Trump moved to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Admiral, how does leadership in Bitcoin impact leverage resilience, deterrence for Indo-PACOM against China? And do you think that a strategic Bitcoin reserve helps America compete against China?
Senator, our research into Bitcoin is as a computer science tool. It's the combination of cryptography, a blockchain, and a proof of work. And Bitcoin shows incredible potential as a computer science tool that through the proof of work protocols it actually imposes more cost than just the algorithmic securing of networks and our ability to operate. And Bitcoin is a reality. It is a valuable computer science tool as a power projection. And outside of the economic formulation of it, it has got really important computer science applications for cybersecurity.
Thank you. What recommendations do you have for us here in Congress on how the U.S. can lead on Bitcoin competition?
I'd have to go deeper on that with you for the record, and I can go deeper on that case. But Bitcoin is a reality. It is a peer-to-peer zero trust transfer of value, anything that supports the all instruments of national power for the United States of America is to the good.
So pretty powerful stuff there, guys. You know, he's basically saying exactly what Bitcoin is, right? It's a computer science tool with unbelievable potential. It is a peer-to-peer network with zero centralized power, right? And that goes a long way. And the U.S. military is basically saying we either get ahead of this and join this network, or we get left behind by our competitors in China. And it goes to show Bitcoin where Bitcoin's headed. It's just like, you know, Bitcoin is just it's not going anywhere, right? It's not. This isn't any more a question of if, it's a question of when. And Bitcoin just gets more and more powerful the more that people study it. You've got these really intelligent people looking at it and saying this is a serious computer science tool, and we should really start leveraging it in a way that actually benefits the U.S. And so we can expect for more of that type of conversation to be happening. And so it's really an exciting time for Bitcoin, guys. It's really an exciting time for Bitcoin. I recommend you guys checking this out. I don't know if you guys could hear this video at all. I'll link it below in the description. But guys, those are the biggest news stories for me for the week. I thought that these were super interesting. Everything that's going on with Bitcoin is just bullish. It's positive. Who cares what the price does? Who cares if it goes up? Who cares if it goes down? It doesn't matter right now in the short term, in the day-to-day. What matters is all of this buildup that's happening. Bitcoin is coiling up like a freaking spring, guys. It is coiling up like a spring, and all of this is just like it's getting it ready. And I do think we're going to see some really exciting movement here with Bitcoin soon. And the more and more that people realize what Bitcoin is, the more difficult it's going to get your hands on it, right? So, guys, learn about it, read about it, study it. I'll be posting videos every single week, not just of news stories, but I'll also do some educational content. I'm going to probably do this week a review on, I saw some interviews this week of, who was it? I know CoffeeZilla did a video, but somebody else, I can't remember, Ben McKenzie or something like that, with Jon Stewart. I listened to that podcast, and I was getting frustrated listening to it because it just was obvious that the guy had no idea what he was talking about. So I want to do kind of a recap on that video, so more educational content. And then I'm always going to be doing the weekly buy videos, right, guys? So make sure you follow along with those. I'm literally just building a community, guys, so you guys can sit here and follow along with me and make sure that you're doing your Bitcoin buys and your stacking. All right. Again, just to be very clear, this is not I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advice video. This is for educational purposes only and for entertainment purposes only. Okay. But with that being said, guys, if you guys like the content, like what I'm doing, make sure you like, subscribe, do that whole freaking thing. It helps the algorithm, yada, yada, yada. You guys know the whole story. All right, guys, have a great one, and I will see you again soon. Take care.